Welcome back. Here today in sunny downtown Wausau, Florida. A little tongue-in-cheek there because, as you know, if you're a regular viewer of the show, we are in the middle of an inordinate amount of rainfall. And, of course, all of those problems that go along with it. Here right now with Lynne Abel, who heads up emergency operations here in Washington County, located right here in Wausau. Lynne, thanks for taking the time. I know that you guys are going crazy right now. The Chinese curse is may your life be interesting. And almost deja vu all over again. Last summer, we saw lots of weather events that caused lots of issues. This year, again, Washington County seems to be in the eye of the storm, at least up until the last day or so when Pensacola and to the north of us got hit hard. And we'll talk about that. Let's start at the beginning. Tell me about what your job description, what is your mission personally here at the EOC?
Okay, what we do is try to be aware of not only weather situations, but any situation that would cause some disruption in day-to-day activities and any kind of emergencies that might come up that we would need to notify the public about and put plans into operation that would help impede some of the damage to property, but more importantly, protect lives in these kinds of situations.
So whether it was man-made disaster or whether it was a natural disaster, weather events such as we're experiencing right now, yours is a job that sort of goes unseen. You're tucked away back here on Pioneer Road in Wausau. Nobody really thinks about Lynne or the EOC until something happens. And then guess what? You're at ground zero. Recently, Washington County put under the auspices of the Washington County Sheriff's Office the ambulance service and some of the other emergency services. Did that, and how did it affect you in any way?
At this point, the sheriff and his staff are working very closely with us, and so far everything has been seamless. We've not had any issues as far as response or coordination with our office. It's been seamless.
His office, in this case Bobby Haddock, but whoever was in that seat, the sheriff's office has been doing the dispatching for all of the emergency services anyway, have they not?
That's correct.
So again, like as you point out, seamless because they've already been doing that. Is the EOC more under the auspices of the SO now than it was before that decision?
No, sir, not at this point.
Okay.
But again, we're coordinating with them. The 911 staff is here in our facility at this point, and through this current event, we have utilized their expertise. It's been just phenomenal what they've been able to provide for us and information they're able to give to us to provide to the state on affected areas. We're looking at having some aerial photography done. The state is wanting to do that in the Northwest Florida region to kind of get an idea of where we've got some issues, and we were able to put a flight plan together for Washington County to provide to them. We're hoping to get that done tomorrow, Saturday, and we've had some recommended evacuations in some areas, and they've been able to assist us in getting the word out, having access to those homeowners and phone numbers and that sort of thing. So they've provided a tremendous service to us.
As we've seen when we've been out and around, and as we've pointed out to our viewers, the Sheriff's Office has been sort of acting as a second set of eyes for the Department of Transportation, keeping an eye on those areas upon which those waters may be starting to encroach so that the DOT gets a heads up. Nobody's got enough staff when it comes to an emergency. So if we can all join hands and work together, that's a wonderful thing, and I would imagine that's great in your life.
Absolutely. The Sheriff's Office has had deputies out in the areas where we've been concerned. And I don't remember the exact date now, days and nights kind of run together, but when we had the initial call that there was some wind damage to homes, we could not confirm through the Weather Service that we actually had a tornado in our county, but we know there was some damage. The Sheriff's Office and dispatch notified us, and of course then we notified the state warning point, and So their eyes, they're throughout the county, just like our volunteer fire departments. They're very good. Those volunteers are very good to let us know what's going on. Their eyes are important for life safety issues. And, our public works crews, our county public works crews are critical in their role. They don't just try to patch roads. They come in and let us know what's going on and where we may have some issues, where homeowners are concerned and where individuals are concerned.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you say that. I know that maybe because of what we saw happen last year, and it took a lot of people by surprise.
Yes.
You don't expect that once in a 100-year type of rainfall. This time, it seems like everybody was extremely aggressive and proactive, forward-thinking. Department of Transportation, they started pumping water well before the local rains even started, because those
Yes, they
waters
did.
were high, anticipating an issue there on Highway 77. We ran into some sheriff's deputies the other day, as I pointed out, and they explained to us how they were trying to kind of spearhead that eyes open type of approach. As you point out, volunteer fire departments, even EMS, when they're out and around, I've heard stories of them calling in, hey, there's a road almost out here, we can get to this patient, we're doing a welfare check today, we probably won't be able to get to him tomorrow. You come into play.
Absolutely.
Public Works comes into play. At this point, a large number of roads, our dirt roads, impassable and closed. What's the situation right now, broad strokes?
Well, we actually, in the area where we had the voluntary evacuation, we actually notified our EMS director, and he typically goes out to those areas to be sure that if there's any kind of emergency call, that his crews can get into them. And so that's just the norm for our director. That's just the way he works things. What we've got right now, we do have many roads closed. EMS, fire again, Public Works, Sheriff's Office, all those responders are out canvassing, and they don't just go to the end of the road and look down. They drive those roads to be sure, where the trouble spots are. However, there are times that in these situations, circumstances change so quickly, conditions change so quickly. We would never want to give the impression that we know everything. We need folks to call in. If they feel threatened, if they feel like they're in a dangerous situation, we need them to call us, because what we may have seen earlier that morning could change, like I said, very quickly and become much more dangerous, especially in areas where there are ponds and lakes and streams. We've got some spring-fed ponds, just like Blue Lake. And you mentioned DOT earlier. They've been very proactive and done a wonderful job. They have, in Washington County, they've been able, any closures that they've made, they've been able to quickly resolve any issues that occurred on our roadways. They've done a splendid job here.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you point out all that you just did, and it kind of opens up a bunch of other questions. Let me start at sort of the boilerplate, nuts and bolts. How is the EOC funded in any county, and in this case, Washington County?
Okay. We have federal grant funds that come to us annually, and we have a major majority of our funding is through the state, and that's an annual grant that comes. And then there is some local money. There's some local match money that comes, to us from the general funds of the county. And that's how. Now, we do have other grants made available to us, but as far as day-to-day operations, that's how we're funded.
So you and your staff are considered county employees?
Yes.
Okay. Not too long ago, Washington County had the luxury of building this great new facility, desperately in need of that facility at the time it was built.
Yes, sir.
A little selfishly, I like it because I live in Wausau and it's right here, and it makes it easy to come by and catch you. What benefits have you seen since you've moved into this new facility?
Okay, well, it is a lot more technologically advanced than the facility that we were in. We have capabilities here technologically that we didn't have. Of course, the additional space has been very helpful when we activate. On a day-to-day basis, we don't have a lot of people here, but when we're activated, we could have as many as 50, 60 people, and so the additional space has been really good. Training opportunities have been a lot more feasible and workable. We have a nice EOC that we can accommodate larger groups, and again, with the technology, we have a lot more available to us as far as training.
Yeah, and I've been here several occasions when you've had opportunity to have those large groups, some of them training, some of them actual emergencies, and it's kind of nice to be able to show off what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Any large rural county has challenges fiscally.
Yes.
In our case, we were fortunate enough to be able to get the funding for this really nice facility, and you know, you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, there's a lot more credibility. You seem to have a little bit more presence if you are able to invite those other emergency operations people into your nice facility at the end of that day. If somebody is in question or in doubt about whether they're in a safe location, if they have information, as you pointed out, that they should probably pass on to you or somebody else, what's the best phone number for them to contact, and what agency would that be?
If you have an emergency, of course, dial 911. But if you have a road condition that you'd like to report, you can dial the Public Works Department, 638-6111. If you have a life safety issue, you can call the Sheriff's Office, 638-6111, or you can call our office, 638-6203.